Okay, so for this tutorial you would be needing your magical Cricut Maker, some fabric glue or double-sided tape, whatever you have, some cork fabric, cork or vinyl. I'm trying to cut down on vinyl because it's not eco-friendly, and I'm trying to switch to just cork, which is also kind of like leather, but it's natural and super eco-friendly. So I'll be using that. And of course you would be needing your strong grip mat, which is this purple one. However, if your strong grip mat does not have a strong grip anymore, you're gonna need some masking tape or scotch tape to tape everything in place.
You'd also be needing a swivel clip and a D-ring for the front.
That's it. These are all the supplies you need, and of course you'd be needing a domestic or an industrial sewing machine. And if you're using a domestic sewing machine, you're also gonna need a walk-in foot. This is what a walk-in foot looks like, and it makes sewing through thick layers very easy. So grab all your supplies and come, let's get started with this super quick, super easy tutorial. One thing I'd like to mention is if you're using a domestic sewing machine, it's better that you get vinyl because sewing so many layers of cork is not gonna turn out really good on a domestic sewing machine. So you should go for vinyl instead because vinyl is much thinner than cork. Or you can also go for glitter faux leather like these, which are really thin, so that you don't have issues while you are sewing on your domestic machine. And it's a must that you have a walk-in foot, because without walk-in foot you won't be able to sew this because there are gonna be so many layers involved. So keep all of these things in mind before you start sewing. So I'm gonna be using cork fabric, and I'll be sewing on my industrial machine. To cut out the crossbody, first of all, open up Design Space by going to design.cricut.com. Next, just click on New Project, then click on Upload. Over here, upload the image that you downloaded from the free library. So I'm gonna upload it from my folder. So this is what you should have after uploading the file. Now you can add some tags if you want, or you can just leave it as it is. Once done, just click on Save. Now select the image and click on Insert Images. So your image should pop up over here. So this is what you should have after uploading the file. Now just click on Save. Now select the image and then click on Insert Images. So this is what you should have by now. All the pieces together. Now we need to get this thing cut out, so just click on Make It. Now make sure that your machine is connected. So you can see that the software has automatically arranged everything so that it's perfectly laid out. Now all you need to do is get this thing cut, and you need to cut out a piece measuring 16" by 12" that will fit on this mat, and it will have space for everything. So now go ahead and click on Continue. Now connect your machine to get started. From here, set the material to faux leather and make sure that you increase the pressure to more. And now just go ahead and get this thing cut. Okay, so our mat is ready, and as you can see, everything is pretty side down. Now I'm just gonna load the mat inside. And click on the Cricut button. Okay, now that everything is cut, we just need to peel it and remove everything. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do that off camera. Now the first thing we have to do is attach the support. so that it's centered and it's 2 inch away from the top edge, as you can see over here. So I'm just gonna glue this in place because we're gonna sew on this later on. For now, I'm just gonna glue it. Now I'm just gonna let it dry off for a while. Now I'm also gonna glue the flaps together and let them dry off while I'm working on other things. You can also use a double-sided tape for this step, which is much easier. You don't have to spend time on you don't have to wait for the glue to dry off and the two pieces to stick together, because you can just tape it together. It's much easier. Since I ran out of my double-sided tape, I'm just gonna use glue. I'm just gonna hold these two together using clover clips. And when you're using vinyl or cork, you cannot use pins to hold things together because it's just gonna leave holes and which cannot be fixed. So I'm just gonna leave this aside for now. While everything is getting dried up, it's time to sew the straps together. So as you can see, I've cut out 40-inch by 1/2 inch of strap. I'm just gonna sew these two together like this, keeping the wrong sides together. I'm gonna top stitch on both the edges, the longer edges. And I'm gonna do the same thing for the straps used to hold the swivel clips. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this on my machine, and I'm gonna use a wide stitch length. So once your glue has dried up and you have sewn the straps together, you also need to sew the two flaps together, wrong sides facing each other like I have done over here. Just top stitch along the edges using a wide stitch length and a seam allowance of 1/8 inch. So all these should be done by now. We have our swivel clip strap, we have our crossbody strap, and we have our flap ready to be sewn. So our next step is to attach the strap on the main body panel, which is this one, and we're going to attach it on the side where we added our support. So we're going to place the ends of the strap 2 inch from the top edge so that it is on, you can just touch and feel it so that you're placing it right on top of the support. We need 2 layers over here, so make sure that you're placing it on top of the support. So place your strap ends on the back side of the body, as you can see over here. Make sure that it's overlapping. Make sure that it's placed on top of the support. Just touch and feel it. And the distance between the side edges and the strap should be around 3/4 inch, as you can see over here. And you can hold it together using clover clips. You don't have to use glue, but if you have a double-sided tape, you can just use that. So now I'm just gonna attach the strap onto the main body panel. I'm gonna use a small stitch length, and I'm gonna make a rectangle and a cross with a cross in between. Once I'm done, I'm also gonna add the swivel clip strap, as you can see over here. So we're only sewing on this part. We're not going all the way over here. We're just sewing in a small rectangle over here at the right on top of the support. And make sure when you're placing the swivel clip strap, it's centered in between the other 2 straps like this. So I'm gonna go ahead and sew all of these together. Okay, so all the straps are attached. Now it's time to add the hardware. So I'm just gonna take my swivel clip and insert it on the edge of the other edge of the strap like this. And I'm just gonna fold it over by 3/4 inch, and I'm gonna top stitch the 2 layers together. So this is what I was talking about earlier. Like you can see now we have 4 layers which is gonna be really difficult to sew. So one thing you can do is cut off the inner layer, the under layer of the strap. Since we're using 2 different sides of strap, you can cut off the under layer by 1 inch and just fold over so that only the top layer is getting folded. And you can sew so that you have 3 layers to sew instead of 4 if you're doing it on a domestic machine. Since I'm using an industrial machine, I don't have any problems with these many layers, so I'm just going to go ahead and sew it like this. And we also need to sew the D-ring to this D-ring strap, so just insert the D-ring inside and fold over by 3/4 of an inch and just top stitch under the straight edge of the D-ring. Use a small stitch length because the area you're going to sew on is pretty darn small. Make sure you do 2 sets of stitches because the one can just come off. Now the next step is to attach the D-ring strap onto the main body. So what you're going to do is fold this thing over so that there's only a gap of 1 inch left at the top, as you can see over here. Now just flip to the other side and place the strap for the D-ring so that it's centered and around 1/2 inch of the strap is on the body like this. I'm just gonna glue this and place it here and let it dry. So once it has dried, we're gonna sew it so that the D-ring strap is attached to the body, and make sure that you open it up so that you're only sewing the strap to 1 layer of the body and you're not sewing it together like that. Okay, now it's time to place the flap. So first of all, what you're going to do is draw a line 3/4 inch away from the top edge. Now add some glue or double-sided tape. Now place the flap so that the top edge of the flap just touches the line that you just drew. This will make sure that your flap is placed straight and there is no mistake in the measurement. Now you just need to sew this on top using a seam allowance of 1/4 of an inch from this edge over here. Make sure you backstitch at the start and end and leave behind long tails of thread so that it can be tied together. Use your needle to take the threads to the wrong side and tie them up together. Do the same for the other side. Now the next step is to assemble this whole thing together. Before you start the assembly, if you want to add your logo, you can go ahead and do that at the back or maybe inside if you like. So once you're done attaching, fold over the body so that there is a 1 inch gap left at the top, as you can see over here. Now bring back the swivel clip and insert it in the D-ring. Once you have placed everything and clipped everything, make sure you open up this swivel clip so that you don't have problems in sewing the 3 layers together. So we're going to sew all around now. And use a seam allowance of 1/4 of an inch and medium stitch length. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to attach this buckle to make this strap adjustable. So first off, I'm just going to cut this thing out around 4 inch or 5 inch from the bottom edge. Next step is to just insert the strap in the buckle from one side, and you can see that I'm inserting it at the bottom side. Just gonna fold it over by 1 inch. Now we need a strap holder, something like this, which can hold the strap once the strap is inserted through this thing. Now before I sew this together, we need to first measure and make the strap holder. So just place your strap holder here on the strap and place the other strap so that we can measure the width that we would like for our strap holder. So just fold it over and we can see that we only need around this much. So I'm just gonna cut this thing off over here. Next, I'm gonna fold this together and sew the two layers together. So I've sewn the two together so that we have one circular loop kind of thing over here. Now I'm just gonna insert it in the strap and I'm gonna insert the buckle as well. Fold the whole thing over by 1 inch. And as you can see, the loop is centered over here in between the two layers of the strap. And now I'm just gonna sew the strap together. As you can see over here, the loop should not be sewn. It should hang freely inside like this. I hope that makes sense. If you don't understand, you can just rewind and watch again. We're just gonna attach the two straps together. The loop is just gonna hang freely like this. Now I'm gonna go ahead to my machine and sew this. So this is what you should have by now. The buckle attached to the strap and the loop hanging freely. Now it's time to make some holes using your awl on the other side of the strap. So I'm gonna make some holes around 1 inch away from each other to insert the buckle. And you can measure and do it or do it freely, just approximate distance. It's totally up to you. So once done, I'm just gonna insert the strap, put the buckle inside. Put the strap inside the loop. And we're all done. Now the last step is to just fold this thing over and sew it so that it doesn't just slide away from inside this loop. So just fold it over by 1 inch and just sew the two layers together over here. Alright, so this is it. The crossbody bag with adjustable strap is ready.